Hey folks, it's Ardwulf. Welcome. Today we are going to take a look at the latest release from Multi-Man Publishing, The Third Winter. This is, of course, a game long in preparation and long anticipated by lots of folks, including myself. It is a design by designer Tony Burkett from a series designed by the legendary Dean Essig. And I would like to give a special shout out to Dave, who, despite my problems with the Multi-Man Publishing pre-order disaster that resulted a few weeks ago, has ensured that I have a copy of The Third Winter in hand in a timely fashion, as opposed to having to wait for it for a potentially long time. So thank you again. It is a big, handsome 3-inch box. I like the cover. I think it's a good looking cover, and recent OCS, especially the ones I've paid attention to, but recent releases from Multi-Man Publishing in the OCS and SCS series have had kind of this unified cover style that I really like. The box side is also very handsome. We can see that this is game number 19 in the Operational Combat series, and I'm also very happy that, of course, it is in the 3-inch box. Now, this is very unusual in that it is a thing I am unboxing, but which I have already played. And in fact, I think I've probably sunk about 120 hours into The Third Winter. That is part of the reason why I like it so much, because I've played it already and I know I like it. So it was very exciting when this made it up for pre-order, made its pre-order number very quickly. We had an interview with designer Tony Burkett, developer Chip Saltzman, and OCS series honcho Curtis Baer a few weeks back on the channel, a few months back on the channel, actually. So check that out if you're interested in hearing some of the insights and details about The Third Winter and the plans for the series. It doesn't say this anywhere on the box. It might in the rules. This is the planned first volume in a 3-volume set with an additional addendum called Ostfront, which will allow the players to manage the entire East Front of World War II from September 1943 to April or May of 1944. The second volume will be called Forgotten Battles, and it is the section of the East Front immediately north of where The Third Winter takes place. And then the third volume will be the Hero City, which is the north of that, which is the Leningrad sector. And then the addendum will be the Crimea, the standalone. We think standalone. I think this is still up in the air as to exactly how it's going to be presented. But there is a one-map Crimea module that is in preparation as well. And maybe I'll talk about that later on, since I have actually participated in some of the playtesting. So without further ado, with that very lengthy preamble out of the way, let us take a look at what we have in the big and beautiful The Third Winter. So opening her up. A little bit of ding on the box here, but, I'm scarcely going to lose any sleep over that at this point. And again, very happy, if I haven't said this at least twice, that it is in a 3-inch box. It is pretty much standard weight MMP box. We have here a contents card, including 1 box and a lid, 5 map sheets, 10 counter sheets, 1 OCS 4.3 rulebook, 1 Third Winter rulebook, 1 Third Winter scenario book, 2 identical OCS charts and tables booklets, 2 player booklets, 1 Soviet and 1 Axis, 2 identical TECs, 8 8.5 by 11 player aid cards, 2 5 by 5.5 by 8.5 breakdown displays, and 2 6-sided dice. So, first of all, here is a 6-sided die. And these are going to come out in out of order, so we'll pull it all out and then take a look. Okay, that's interesting. This is on a glossier paper stock than we typically see from the Gamers product line. Might be a little smaller print too, but I'm not sure about that. So this is the game-specific rules, okay? It is 36 pages. It is full color. And as we'll get to see in here, for those who are familiar with the contents of OCS games before Hungarian Rhapsody, I am personally very pleased with how MMP and series honcho Curtis Baer have stepped up on the physical component quality in these games. So here's which are hugely improved, right? So here we have these color breakdown displays, right? We never had these before, right? We would just have to manage this by hand, off screen. It's great that we have this. And you can see, this gives you a visual representation of how many breakdowns are on the map versus how many are available, which is pretty great. So we have those. This is a 4-map game, by the way, so it will fit comfortably on 2 folding tables, even with all the additional displays. So we have a counter sheet and a map and the series rules. Now, this is the standard OCS series rules in absolutely standard OCS format, reasonably large print, black and white, 56 pages. If you're familiar with OCS, I'm sure you have one of these already. Try to remember if 4.3 was released with Smolensk or with Hungarian Rhapsody. Those are the last 2 games in the series. It doesn't really matter. If you need the current series rules, the changes to which are very small, you can just download them from OCS Depot. So please check that out. If I remember, I will put a link to OCS Depot in the video description. There's the second die. We, of course, use a 5-die set in OCS Play. This is counter sheet 6. So this is counter sheet 7 and counter sheet 6 of the third winter counters. Happy to report that registration looks good, both front and back, at least on these. Something super interesting that is new to OCS are 0 step loss markers, so you can hide step loss dummies under your stacks, which is awesome. I love that. Thank you so much. All right, so player aid card. Here's your terrain effects chart. Again, huge improvement on previous TECs. It's full color, it's color coded by weather type, and right on the TEC you have what the terrain looks like on the map. This is a huge step up from older games in the series. Thank you so much. Nice work. Okay, here is an OCS marker sheet. I think there's probably 3 of these. We'll put that in a separate pile. This is we'll look at all the maps together at the end. If you're familiar with OCS maps, these look exactly the same. They're done in the same style. Here is counter sheet 5 for the third winter. Here is the Axis Player Booklet, charts, tables, and order of arrival. This is another TEC, color included, is on the back. Here we have all our Axis charts and tables, rebuild charts, a lot easier to read than previous ones. And we have our in-color order of arrival that you can set it out, probably color photocopy, this is what I would do. You can set it out on the card in advance so you can stay organized. This is another fantastic improvement that I am very pleased to finally see in this series. Third winter counter sheet 4, all Germans and German multi-unit formations. Here is an OCS 4.3 charts and tables, exactly the same as it's always been. Here is another marker sheet. Now, of course, these marker sheets, am I going to clip these? Nope. They're not different from the ones I have. Here is the third winter scenario book. We'll take a closer look at that. Right now, we're setting a lot of stuff on the side. Here is our Soviets, which includes guards and sort of a bright orange and the standard Soviet light brown, including quite a few formations. So, of course, the overall strategic situation here has the Germans in a state of strategic retreat. The Germans are on the defensive in the context of the whole campaign, but they retain a significant, very significant amount of punching power. So there will be blow and counter blow. The German position is fairly fragile, but their troops are very good, and they, like I said, have a lot of punching power still. We have here, one of the things that Third Winter adds is the notion of higher level formations. So basically it handles, there are front HQs that you have to manage in here, and I think that's one of the key innovations. I don't know if innovations is the right word, but it's one of the key concepts that's introduced to the series with this game. Although Hungarian Rhapsody does a little bit of it too, that I think is something that we're going to see more going forward based on conversations with Chip and Tony and Curtis, and is something that I would like to see, because right now you have sort of these core, I mean, for Soviets you've got army HQs pretty much, but you have these army HQs and you have core HQs for the Germans and some other nationalities, and that's pretty much it, and they're not really differentiated except to say that some have a larger range than others. I really feel like like the higher level HQ rules do add quite a bit to the game. And particularly in the case of Third Winter for the Soviets, because they have 4 Soviet fronts involved in the campaign. And the rules are structured in such a way that you have to have some of them in a defensive posture while others are on an offensive posture. And that really has a huge impact on the tempo of the overall campaign. And having played through the campaign, I think it works really well. And I really, really liked it. Even being on the opposite side of it. So here's another map. We have 5 maps here, 4 full-size maps, and then a mini-map, which we'll get into in a minute. Here's another marker sheet. And then the rest is all miscellaneous player aids and the legendary Multiman Publishing blank sheet of paper that they include in every game for reasons known to none. Okay, Axis player aid. As you can see, we have some airstrips. Don't know if those function off the... So we're playing Blitzkrieg Legend right now, which has airstrip rules. I don't recall if they work the same way as they do in Blitzkrieg Legend, but because we haven't played this in about 8 months. So here's an Axis player aid with the general records track, a dead pile, alert units pool, fortress units available, Romania off-map airbox, Kampfgruppen, should be Kampfgruppen. Here is our Axis multi-unit formations display, of which it's 2 sides, and I don't recall how the Germans work this or not, but the Soviets have to use these to repair their units, not to bring their units back up to full strength. So they'll basically withdraw these multi-unit formations and then rebuild them on these displays, and then they can choose when they're going to bring them back, which might not be, when they're fully rebuilt. But the fact that you have these is very helpful, even just by themselves. Soviet player aid... Here's the RBGK boxes. This also has an impact on how the Soviet rebuilds are handled. Soviet Player Aid 2. There's a lot of off-map displays here, a lot more than you typically see with OCS games. However, I have long felt that while I appreciate that the amount of off-map displays that you have to manage with OCS is small, I like that. It also would be super helpful to have some of these things for older games too. So anyway, here's the Soviet Player Aid 2 front HQs. You have to track the number of turns they're on the offensive. And here's the turn record track, reinforcements, so on and so forth, ground conditions, flight conditions, the Dnieper River conditions, and then the Axis Player Aid. Okay, so maps. I'm not going to bust the maps out. Well, I'll bust the small map out. You'll see that in a second. The maps are standard OCS maps, okay? They are the Dean Essig art style. For those who really object to this art style, you'll hate these. For those like myself, that doesn't bother at all, and they are perfectly clear. I like them. Also included is this. This is a bit of a late edition, but it was always kind of in the game. But what they've done here is they've given you an 11 by 17 map for the Scorpions in a Bottle scenario. This is the Corsun Pocket scenario. I saw this on the table at Winter Offensive in 2020. And I believe it was a full-size map at the time with all the setup charts and stuff like that. But I'm actually glad that they put it on this 11 by 17 nice compact card. There's 8 turns in the Scorpions in a Bottle scenario. And I'm going to be asked probably, how is the Third Winter as an introductory OCS game? And without this, my advice on it would be to find a different one, because there's a lot of special rules that don't apply to any game other than Third Winter, in Third Winter. However, with the inclusion of the Scorpions in a Bottle scenario, you really are able to get a nice, small, relatively compact, although I'll tell you the density is relatively high on this map. It's a very manageable OCS scenario. It's only 8 turns. It's not a small scenario. It's just a small map. And I think will give you a good start on the system without necessarily burying you in some of the trickier minutiae like extenders and so forth. But I'm really pleased with the inclusion of this. I think this adds a lot of value to the whole set. So let's put that back. I also think that we're going to look at the scenarios in a second here, but I'm going to put all the counter sheets back in the box and the player aids and stuff. But I also feel like I'm really happy that they put this all in a 3-inch box. I think I can get the whole game into 3 counter trays. That is, of course, leaving out the markers, because I keep my OCS markers in a separate tray. Although, this gives me so many extra OCS markers that I might start a second separate tray for OCS markers. We'll see. I don't know that I'm doing that today. But I want to look at the scenarios. As is usual, I haven't played all the scenarios, right? We played the campaign, and we played the second SS Panzer Corps Strikes Back scenario. So I haven't played all the scenarios, but as is typical for an OCS game, there's a robust scenario selection. You have a lot of play value in here aside from the campaign. And I am well aware that some folks never want to play anything but the campaign. And the campaign is great, but you also have smaller options, including Scorpions in a Bottle. So we have Scenario 1, the Dnieper Battles, which is the full campaign. It's 26 September 1943 to 26 April of 1944. So pretty much end of September to end of April. It is a long campaign. It will take a long time to play, and it is 4 full maps. So, and we have, of course, our standard gamers style setup information here. It would have been awesome had they included setup charts for this like they do with the arrival schedules, but I understand why that would be a huge project, because there's a lot here. Scenario 2 is Götterdämmerung, which is January to the end of April. I played this too, actually, at a Buckeye Game Fest a few years ago. Lots of fun. Great scenario. Scenario 3, Red Thunder. This is, this looks like it's the whole map, but it's only April. So it's what, 8 turns, 6 to 8 turns, something like that. And Tony has cutely included the Russian in Cyrillic here, which is cool. I can't read it, but it's cool. Okay. Next scenario is Manstein's Fire Brigades, which is end of December to close to the end of January. Once again, 9 turns. This is only map A, so it's a 1-map scenario. I think the idea was always to put the Coruscant Pocket scenario in the game, but the actual area where it takes place is where multiple maps meet. This is my contribution to the Third Winter, by the way. So, the second SS Panzer Corps Strikes Back, the victory conditions were maybe not as clearly worded as they should have been. So if I have a contribution as a playtester here, it is right here in these 2 paragraphs. Really in the Soviet player victory conditions. And this is a pretty small scenario. This is you kind of need a whole map here, but it's really all the action is taking place in one corner of one map. But again, the density is relatively high. The density is generally high through this entire thing. Scenario 6, Romanian Finish. This is, again, takes place entirely in April. It looks like this is all 4 maps. Okay. And here's the Coruscant Pocket Scorpions in a Bottle scenario. Used it in a closed mini-map. Initiative is handled a little bit differently. I haven't played this. I really want to. It's relatively small, and like I said, it was a late addition to the whole package, and I'm very happy that it is included. So, scenario book, counter sheets, everything goes back in the box. I hope I can get this in 3 counter sheets. I guess we'll find out. Because we'll be probably clipping this on the Counter Clipping Show. Tune in Monday to find out. Might not get to it this Monday. So thanks very much. Third Winter, we have finally got it in our hands. A game I have been super excited about for a long time. And as much as I would love to spend the afternoon complaining about Multi-Man and their ordering thing that screwed things up, I can't, in fairness, take that out on the game. So we will be getting Third Winter to the table. It is the next in line after we finish our game of Blitzkrieg Legend, which shouldn't take too much longer, I think. Although play is slow going as it is. But super excited. So we will be, I'm sure, circling back to the third winter on the channel with additional video support. So tune in for that. There's already several videos on the third winter, including the interview with the design team. So check all those things out and stay tuned for further updates. I would like to thank you for watching. If you'd like to help support Ardwulf's Lair, please do check out the merch store, the Patreon, or the Ko-Fi, which are all linked in the video description. Please do like the video if you found it of use, and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, happy wargaming.